Coming up on the program, it's time to plant our celery that we started from seed several months ago. And we're going to plant some shallots from bulb. All that and more coming up today on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is sponsored by the following. MIgardener.com, over 300 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, organic flowers, vegetables, and herb seeds, all for 99 cents. MIgardener.com. Sioux Growing Supply, located in Wausau, Wisconsin, focusing on certified leaf compost, an excellent amendment for poor soil. With their new garden blend, improving soil structure in clay and sandy soil, great for creating new garden beds. Also available from Sioux's, pre-filled trays and pots with professional potting soil mix or organic rice hull-based potting soil mix. Bag and bulk of certified leaf compost also available. Visit SiouxGrowingSupply.com. Stop before you dig. Call Digger's Hotline first. Call 3 business days before you dig. It's the law. It's completely free and it's for your safety. Know what's below before you dig. It's your responsibility. Call Digger's Hotline or visit them at diggershotline.com. HappyLeafLED.com. Commercial grade grow light with a home gardener's affordability. No fans, no motors. Simply plug in and grow. Great for seed starting to lettuce to full grown tomatoes. All indoors. HappyLeafLED.com.
Sustain Natural Fertilizer, offering superior organic plant foods that deliver research-proven results. Trusted by farmers, growers, and gardeners for 30 years. Learn more at sustain.com. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. I'm Joy Baird. Today we're going to plant celery in one of our raised bermed beds that I have prepped here. It's about 4 foot wide, 50 inches wide, and 10 foot long. We're going to divide this bed up in 2 portions here. The first portion is going to be for the celery, and the second portion is going to be for our shallot bulbs. So what we want to do here, what I've done is I've come in with a garden fork, removed all the weeds, roots that I can find, and I loosen the soil up. Now, just by doing that right there, that has allowed me to see about 5, 6 different worms. And that's one of the reasons why we do not till here, is because those tines would just chop up all of those worms, and we don't want that. We want to continue to have those worms reproduce and feed off the organic matter that we have put in the soil. So what we'll do is we've got a bag of certified leaf compost from Sioux Growing Supply, and we're going to dump a half a bag. That's approximately 2 cubic foot, a half bag on each side of the bed here, and we'll just level it off with the rake. Then before that, we're going to add some sustained fertilizer just to try to get everything as full and as proper and as healthy as possible. This is some 464, and I know how much the applicational rate is, and this is derived from pine bark and turkey litter. Now, you would normally, if you're going to apply it like this, you'd work it in the soil, but since we're going to add the compost on top of it, that'll essentially sandwich it in and it'll be fine. So we got that, and that comes in 5-pound bags or 20-pound bags. And then we just got to divvy up the compost here, about half a bag. See that good rich black compost from leaves. All right. Now all we want to do is just add, basically put a 1/4 inch or so over the area, and what that's going to do is it's going to permeate down into the soil as it rains, and hopefully we don't have to water a whole lot, but with our irrigation system we hook that up. Okay, it's about what we want. Now I did add, this here is a 1 foot section here that I did add a whole lot of compost to earlier, simply because that needed a lot of help. It was very densely packed. So what we'll do here is, with our celery, you can buy celery starts. You don't want to start celery from seed in the ground. It just is not going to do well. These were started approximately 11, 12 weeks ago inside under the Happy Leaf LED grow lights, and they've been doing very, very well, very healthy. Now you do want to harden these off, bring them outside, acclimate them to the temperatures outdoors for a couple of days prior to planting. And you don't want to plant these when it's too early, because the fluctuation in temperatures can cause these to stress and go to seed. But we're okay with the temperature
and it's time to plant. So what we're going to do is, on a healthy celery plant, now these are not like the type you're going to buy at the store. These are not going to be tightly packed. These are more of a loose stalk variety. And we'll just simply take, and what we're going to do here is put about 3, I'm going to try not to walk in the bed here. I'm going to try to space them out first before I plant them, dig the holes. That's about, let's cover that one. See, I'm adjusting as I go here. Oh, right there. Kind of want to go 3 across. I think that's about the most that we're going to get here, because the end result here is not going to be the seed start. The way it looks now, the intention is having it kind of take over this whole bed, but we want enough space for it to grow without any problem. So these were planted in the root maker trays that air prune the roots. I'm just going to untangle this one here, gently extract it. You can see there's no root boundness, just nice long roots, and untangle it. Now, when you're growing your own celery, the flavor is much more intense, much more fragrant than the store-bought stuff, because it's not being traveled from who knows where. So you want to keep that in mind. So we've already added the fertilizer, we've already added the compost. Now we're just going to plant it at the same depth that it came out of the container. So you want to keep it right around that area. So we might have to backfill with a little compost. And then we're going to get that tucked in, just like that. And it will take a little time. Well, that one's going to stand up on its own, so we're good. So that's how we're going to plant them. Going to do about 9 inches apart, with the intentions that they're all going to grow very well. Now, you want to put these in a relatively full sun area, full sun if all possible. We have a sun coming up over my back and then goes down in front of me. But during the morning time, even with the tree in full production of leaves, we still got about an 8-hour window on this back bed. So we're perfectly fine with putting them back here. Again, your key is good nutrient-rich soil. We've got leaves right here. Those are going to bring broad over at some point here in the next week or two. I want these plants to get established, and then I'm going to bring that mulch over and mulch around the plants to add that barrier to help hold in the moisture and kind of smother out any weeds that are potentially there. So I'm going to get these planted, and then we'll get going on that. So we've got them planted. I got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 here. And if we need to, I can put more in this bed. But also, we still have enough left over that there is sometimes the chance that one of these don't make it, and then in a week I can just come in and replace it. And again, you want to go, I'm going about 8 inches apart, and that's probably closer than what's recommended. But again, I want to have as much packed in here as possible. So if you've never grown celery, you don't want to start it from seed, or you don't want to plant it from seed in the garden. You want to start it from seed indoors. But also, most of your independent garden centers may also carry a variety that will work well in your particular growing area. Summer squash is planted in the summer. It's a non-frost hardy plant. If frost hits it, it's going to die. So you want to plant it after all expected frost is over, and preferably about a week after your last average frost date, and make sure there's not going to get cold. We're going to expand our growing time frame by implementing a little experiment by using coffee cans. Now, what I've got here, I've got this bed worked, and I've got 6 coffee cans, and they've got a cardboard base. They're not metal at all. And I did this 24 hours ago. I put these in the ground, didn't plant anything, just put the lids on them, and you can see the condensation on top of the lids, just like it would happen in a greenhouse. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant some zucchini, some summer squash, some straight neck squash, 2 per container here. We're going to add some sustained fertilizer to it to help it as it grows. But this is going to be planted approximately 6 to 7 weeks before we're actually supposed to do it without any protection. So we're just going to go ahead and remove that, and I'll take a handful of fertilizer, work that in, and we're not going to do a mound like you would traditionally do in a squash application. So I'm just going to take some straight neck yellow squash here, and we'll plant it a 1/2 inch deep. And we're going to do 2 seeds per, well, 2 seeds in this particular area here. And then we'll weed out the weaker of the 2. Now we'll just put that back over top. And I'm putting it down about an inch and then covering it up. Now what again is happening here is it's going to act as a greenhouse. Now these will germinate in probably 5 to 7 days. At that point, we'll make a determination whether we crack the lid, take the lid off based on the long-range forecast. If it's going to get cold at night, we'll put the lid back on, with the expectations in 6 weeks or Memorial Day weekend here in Zone 5A, we'll be able to remove this and already have a zucchini plant ready to begin to really start growing, much as if we would start it indoors. We're actually starting it indoors, outdoors, and we'll be ahead of the game. So shallots can be started like you would a green onion. Also, you can start them from the actual bulb here. Now these are ones that we have saved for several years now. We continue to regrow and regrow and regrow. And we've never had a problem with them going to seed. Now some people may face that issue. So what we're doing here, I've got 5 foot by 4 foot, or about 20 square feet here, in which we're going to plant some shallots. Now we may not have enough shallots for this bed, but before we plant the bulbs here, I've got several shallots over on the other side that I want to dig up and bring over that have overwintered, that we planted late fall, because I need that bed for potatoes in the next couple of weeks. So we're going to go dig those up and then bring them back over here. So here are several ones that have overwintered that I need to dig up, because this is, I believe is going to be a potato bed here in the next couple of weeks, so I can't have these in here. So all I'm going to do, and really if we weren't going to dig them up, these would be fine. And I'll show you the what a shallot really is. Oh, it's rooted nicely. You put that bulb in the ground and it opens and it creates multiple bulbs like you would a garlic. You put a garlic clove in and you get a whole bunch of cloves in a bulb. Well, that's essentially what a shallot is. Each one of these stalks represent a bulb that will form, and you may have 5, 7, 8 clusters of small shallots, and they're a little sweeter than an onion. But I'm going to dig these up and disturb them as little as possible amongst the weeds here, and then we'll take them back, and you can see how much I've got here. I've got weeds in here as well as shallots, which, here we go, try to knock some of this off. You can see how massive the root system is here. Some of that's weeds there, but good clusters. See, those are beginning to form, and I want to get them in the ground, but I just don't want them here. This one broke off. I just don't think that's going to have a worthy enough root system. But we'll get these dug. Okay, so I brought them back here. Now, we're going to plant these. See, this is kind of what they look like, just a tube, but there's multiple clusters that will form there. I'm just going to plant these the same depth as they were on the back side there, or on that other bed. Now what I'm doing, I've worked this bed, added some sustained fertilizer to it, and then covered it with some certified leaf compost to kind of help it all come together. Now I'm just going to gently push these together like that, and I'm going to put these about, and you can see this is kind of what the maturity level, about as big as they're going to get. So I'm going to put them to the point where they're almost kind of touching. That's about 5 inches there apart. Now for the shallots themselves, the bulbs here, a couple of things you want to keep in mind. Like this one here, it's smushy, it's slimy. There's not any life to that. Don't worry about it. Get rid of it. It's not going to plant. You want a firm or mostly firm bulb here. You can buy these from your garden center. And you want to, we got that one planted, so I'm just going to do another row here. You want to push it in to where it's about almost halfway in the ground. And you can also backfill a little bit because it's loose soil. If you got really dense soil, you want to be careful with this. But I do want to put it somewhat in the ground like that, simply because these do have the potential to encourage birds to come in, grab a hold of them, pull them out. So if you have that problem, you can simply put some kind of fencing over top of it until these get established, and it'll work just fine. So let me get these in the ground, and then we'll come back with our final step. I've got them all planted. These I've got nestled in the bulbs themselves. Now if it is a dry situation, you want to water them, but I am kind of packing these in just a little tighter than normal, just so the birds don't get it. Now they'll go ahead and root in about a week or so. They'll come out of dormancy, they'll feel the soil, they'll feel the moisture. And I got enough here, I'll just fill the bed up with some more celery back there. But this is what the end result's gonna be, or thereabouts, a little bit more. Now, you can plant, obviously you can plant these in the fall and harvest them in the spring. That's what these would have been if we would have left them in the bed. They'll still develop, but also you can plant them in the spring and harvest them early in the summer. Now, one thing I will discourage you from is if you do not like peeling onions, shallots is not the crop to grow because you have to peel these. But these do work very, very well in soups and stews, especially like in the crock pot. You throw a handful of these in the crock pot, or if you're going to bake something, you put them in there, and you just squeeze them, and that goodness comes out, and it's peeled itself. So keep that in mind. So if you never grown shallots, you can grow them in a grow bag, container, raised bed, traditional ground. Any type of container will work just fine. Thanks for joining me. Join me again next time for more organic gardening and food preserving. I'm Joy Barrett, and this has been the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.